This special episode of Project Reveal was made possible with generous support from the Evansville Vanderburgh Public Library.
The Women's Hospital delivers comprehensive health care to women and infants through inpatient and outpatient obstetrical, gynecologic, and education programs. The Women's Hospital, only at Deaconess.
Additional support provided by Gerling Law and Toyota Indiana.
You know, when I came into the shelter for the first time, that was scary enough. But it's a hard thing to get out of once you're in it. You know, I've been working for almost a year now, and I'm still saving and struggling, and trying to get things together. And it's not easy to get out of once you're stuck in it.
How long have you been experiencing homelessness?
For about 10 years.
Where are you sleeping at now?
I'm sleeping on the back of the porch.
You see some homeless people and you scratch your head and you wonder, how did they ever become homeless?
Yeah.
It can easily happen to anybody, if 90% of us, it's because of either bad relationships, drugs, or alcohol,
What would you say is your biggest obstacle in your day-to-day?
Eating. Find something to eat. And find some shade. Sit outside.
So where are you living at now?
Right now I'm living in an abandoned house.
Okay. Are you living with other people?
Yes, I am.
Are there utilities on?
No.
No?
No.
Don't judge us because we're homeless. We're all, we're somebody's mom or dad or brother or sister or kid or child, and we've just gone through something rough, and just because we're homeless, don't look down on us, Just try to give a help, just be nice, that's all.
We are not bad people. We just fell off.
See, I've been with Aurora for almost 14 years. I started as an intern here and then just hired on when there was a first opening and have been here ever since. When I started, there were only the 5 outreach workers, the executive director, and an office person. We were just one team. It was the outreach team, and we were on the street all the time. And that's where I started, on the street team. The street team goes out most days and meets with people who are literally living on the street. We also go into shelters and work with the people who are in shelter. And our focus has always been trying to get people housed. Raising income is another focus, but helping people secure permanent housing that they can afford is our goal.
We're going to be going out on outreach, going to be looking for those that are homeless, living on the streets. Going to be providing them with some snack bags and maybe some underwear, clothing, toiletry items, and things like that. So that's what we're going to be doing this one, see who's out and see who's available. Kind of seeing where they've made a home, for themselves. They've got like a picture, they've got, like some like little trinkets and things. So, I mean, this is their home.
So the state gives us terms, definitions. We're called to work with what they call Category 1 homeless, which means literally on the street or sleeping in a place not meant for housing, like a car or an abandoned house, which is a gray area, what makes a house abandoned, but usually, no water, no electricity, no security, no way to lock it, and where they're not, don't have a legal right to be there. So some combination of 3 or all 4 of those. And the next tier from that is chronic homelessness, which means people that have either had 4 episodes of homelessness in the last 3 years or been continuously homeless for a year. So those are the folks we determined to be the most vulnerable. So that's really who we hope to capture. And the thought is, if we can help those people and relieve the systems, that they can be served and scooped up faster, because it's also understood that the longer a person is homeless, the harder it is to get back from that. The more they lose, the more it kind of takes from their soul and their momentum and their drive.
What does homelessness look like in our community? It's so hard to define because every situation is so unique and different. So it's hard to even categorize even one person. Literally every case is different. And the solution, part of the challenge and why case management is so important, is the solution for ending homelessness for each person almost has to be customized. You have to look at their work history, their possibilities for income, if they have mental health, or if they have any addictions, or a combination of all those factors, if there's children involved. Many different things go into what we would look for as what a permanent solution. That's what Aurora is all about. A lot of people get confused. You're not a shelter, then what are you? How can you even serve the homeless if you're not a shelter? But our job is to get people off the streets and out of shelters, looking at them as a unique individual, and how can we help them stand on their own with income or with a job or with the proper medical treatment that they might need.
This was really set up like a nice camp for a time. There were tarps, walling it in. You can see the ropes. And they were looked after actually by a policeman would come by. I never learned his, he probably wouldn't want me to say his name if I knew it anyway, but they were well cared for out here when there was a camp. We haven't known anyone to stay out here consistently for a time, but we still come out here. Plus it's something to see when we have, I feel like it captures kind of what a camp under a bridge looks like.
So you said they were looked after, like a police officer would just come down and make sure they were safe?
Yeah, he brought them charcoal and water, like big jugs of water. They panhandle. Look, I think it's important to know most homeless folks don't panhandle, and most panhandlers aren't homeless. I always try to kind of get that out there. People kind of overlay the two, which isn't always the case. My best prediction, someone stays here 3 nights a week, and I think it, at least at this time, as sort of transient, in that it's different folks.
Okay.
Probably, maybe 1 or 2 of 5 to 10 different folks, kind of, that's my impression of this place. And sometimes there'll be some folks on the other side too. The west side sees more of a different type of homeless person, and they often don't consider themselves homeless at all. They're travelers, because the train station, we get young folks coming through, and often I think they have homes to go to. They're just sort of seeing the world. I think sometimes those folks then turn into our guys that are out here for a decade, but the vast majority of them go back and get into school. It's sort of an adventure.
So when this was set up like a camp, you said there were it was like partitions and people had spots?
It was tarped off. It was just a couple guys that stayed here, and one of them was working full time.
Really?
And he was really motivated. Truth is, I never met that guy. I worked closely with the guy that was also staying here, but the other guy was always at work. Because I would always comment like, what, because the first guy, he moved to Texas recently. He stayed down here kind of as is, and then we would keep coming back, and it would, was being put together. So he would tell me about this other guy. I always wanted to meet him, but
oh my God,
don't even know who he was.
So why would, when people are here and they leave, why do they leave?
Well, sometimes there are complaints from businesses. There's another bridge in town closer that gentleman stayed under and caused quite a bit of damage. He had a fire. The debris piles up. We try to encourage people, come on, take your trash out. We'll bring out trash bags sometimes. But it's that motivation. What we see sometimes so clearly is just, get up, go do something. It's not that easy, because you got to go across town to get a shower, bus tokens. If you smoke, you got to take care of that first. And then you realize it's 2:00 and you sweat it again, or it's complicated. And depression and trauma, they hold people back in a way that if you don't have those struggles, you just can't hardly imagine. And it looks like bad behavior to to a lot of us. And sometimes there's a piece of that too. But I'm badly behaved sometimes too.
Right?
But I have systems in place to protect me too. That's another super common theme for our folks is they don't have any buffer system. If I fall on hard times, I've got a number of people I can call in to bail me out. If without even one person you can call, it's crushing. This comes up a lot in all the paperwork we do. Who do you want to list as your emergency contact? And all the time people have said me. I'm like, we've known each other for 6 months. And it's touching.
Like you're wow.
Yeah. And Jesus, that's my other favorite answer. So I think that's a good one. But so it's they learn to make light and cope, but then you get to the bottom of that. There's no one they can call when they need to.
The one thing, common denominator, I think, for so many of the people who are on the street is lack of support. I mean, in your family, if you had severe mental illness, if you had a substance abuse problem, if you had low cognitive ability or some kind of a disease or something that would cause you so much trouble, in many people's family, their family goes around them. They get them the treatment they need, they get them into doctors, they support them and help them get better and keep stable. But with folks who have those struggles and there is no support, they fall through the cracks, literally, and land on the street. And so I think that is the common denominator. It's just there is no support for some people, and that's what we do. We are the support. We come in and we help them make a plan and then help them execute the plan. Sometimes it's getting you into doctor's appointments where people don't know how to do that on their own, or they miss doctor's appointments because they can't keep track of what time it is and when the appointment is. So if we can help them make the appointment and pick them up someplace, get them to the appointment, keep reminding them of when it is, they can start that process of getting those things done. But without someone to help them do those things, they end up just wandering around and getting into, more trouble, getting into, having more trouble, and really just wearing themselves out, just wearing themselves down. So that happens all the time.
The people that are choosing homelessness, do you ever ask them why?
Some folks feel boxed in for sure. We've definitely experienced, even when people get a place, they might still stay out. There's one gentleman in particular who's had a place for a little over a year now, but we'll still see him sometimes in the woods, and he feels a little claustrophobic in there. But he'll go back. He does appreciate it, and luckily he's in a housing program that allows for that. He needs to come back. I forget exactly where their lines are, but he doesn't stay gone for too terribly long. It works for him. The pressure of having to come up with some sort of rent, income-based housing here for a person with no income, or EHA housing, which is our biggest pool, still costs $50 a month, and it's a lot of pressure. If you don't know where that's going to come from.
Poverty is hard, and poverty is not fair. Getting out of poverty for the people who are struggling with poverty and homeless, at risk of homelessness, or who are living at least periodically homeless, it is so difficult. Moving around is difficult. When you have no money and you need to get across town, our bus system is not as good and reliable as a big city's bus system where buses go all the time. It doesn't go all the places that people need it to go. We're thankful we have it, but it's really tough to get it, to go out and search for a job or to get to work every day on the bus. And it's so expensive to have your own vehicle. Rent is crazy expensive. I mean, for people who don't have any money, if you are making minimum wage or slightly above minimum wage, you will always be at risk of homelessness.
There are some common factors why, in general, people fall into homelessness: getting fired or getting laid off, sometimes a divorce. 80% of women fleeing or who become homeless are fleeing a sexual or physical abusive situation. There are statistics like that are just out there. But what's unique to Evansville is we have, according to our state wages, the median household income is about $8,000 below the state average. So that's a factor. We also have a 98% occupancy rate. So I'm all about capitalism and supply and demand, but when that happens and there's no places to go or to rent from, then the current places have no incentivization to reduce their rates. So I would say those are two big factors in our community. So when you read headlines and people are talking about affordable housing in our community, it is got to be one of the top three main issues that our community needs to figure out.
But sometimes there are folks I'm like, oh, I'd just rather not get involved with that because it's either maybe a personality disorder or they're deep into like cravings, and that's really what's motivating them, and they're angry because they know that I'm not going to help them with that. So there's some folks, one that we've seen today that I was like, hopefully he just won't come over, he won't see us. And then I'll be darned if he didn't come over and just blow my mind, like coming from a place like ready to talk, acknowledging the struggles, just being honest and direct. And it's just good for me to be reminded that just because someone in the past wasn't ready or wasn't there, that they're in there, and if you keep engaging, they come around. And it doesn't mean all his problems go away today, but it means that he has a little more hope now, and he's a little more, ready to look at things like they are.
And your next conversation is going to be like that much better.
Yeah, and if he slips into the old conversation, I can look him in the eye and be like, I know that I know, we know that this isn't exactly, productive and best for you, but when you're ready to work towards what's best for you, can't wait for that.
But that feels good.
It does a little bit. I have chills a little bit. Because I don't like him. I didn't like, and today I like him, and I love this job because these are folks that most people cross the street to avoid, and they can be uncomfortable or messy, but I feel really well suited because, gosh darn it, I love it when you break through that and you meet that person inside. It's nice. It's really nice. So.
I feel like energized. Every single person that we talked to had a different story that put them in the situation, whether they were living on the streets, whether they were in a shelter, where they were in some kind of a transitional housing, or they were living in an abandoned building that had utilities on. I mean, there's all these gradients of homelessness. It doesn't look like just one thing, but they got there for whatever reason. So many of them have drug and alcohol issues and mental illness as well. Like almost everybody that we talked to said that they had some drug and alcohol issues. So no matter what happens, like they're in this place, okay, of homelessness. And the journey to get out of this is this giant mountain. But the amazing thing is that there's resources and there's hope out there, and there's these people, these incredible people like Natasha and Tara that are on the streets going week after week to make these connections, to make these relationships, to say like, I'm here for you if you want this. And they can fill out all the paperwork they want for them, but they have to really want it. And so, having an ally and having a relationship with somebody is incredibly helpful. but they're paralyzed with fear. I mean, we heard that today. They're paralyzed with fear that what's it going to be like when I get out? We asked everybody kind of what they wanted people to know about homeless people, and they all said, we're people too. And I certainly know that the next time that I see somebody that I perceive to be homeless, I will look at them with so much more grace and understanding and empathy. And my heart is so melted right now because I was able to understand their perspective and hear their story. And I hope that that's helped you too.
When we look at people, I had to say, don't judge them because we don't know what the hell they've been through or what people have done to them to cause them to be at that point. I think, sure, everybody has some level of ownership, and it's not all about what people have done to everyone, but I just think we need to be careful because we ourselves could be in those same positions. And I also think it's just the right thing to do. It's almost, I think it's almost immoral to not help someone. And we've been very blessed as individuals, as a nation, and it's just not right to let people suffer when we can do something. I think the solution's easy. It's just you and me. We're the solution. We need to quit waiting around for Big Brother or someone to come up with, $1 billion. It really could just be each of us just doing our part.
I hope I always get to do this work. I mean, I've done it, and I feel it's a gift to be here every day. I never get tired of being here and coming to work. I'm always anxious to come to work. So I feel like Aurora is doing the work we should be doing. We're helping people, and we're doing it each day with each person that comes in. We meet them where they are, and we help them come up with a plan to move forward, and we respect them, and we come alongside them. That's what we do. I'm very honored to be here.
This special episode of Project Reveal was made possible with generous support from the Evansville Vanderburgh Public Library.
The Women's Hospital delivers comprehensive health care to women and infants through inpatient and outpatient obstetrical, gynecologic, and education programs. The Women's Hospital, only at Deaconess.